All right, good evening. We are on the Two Sisters and a Brother, the relationship podcast for June 27th, 2024. And we have, of course, the esteemed Andrea Royal and Miss Cheryl, as well as myself, Nate Williams. That's what I'm going to be called. I'm going to be called Nate.
Dr. Nate.
Nate. So, Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking me. This has been, a long 2 weeks, but I'm feeling much better now. I'm back to my own self again, so I can defend myself against any predators or anybody who's bringing violence towards me. I'm ready now. I had a little cold towards the beginning of the week, but yep, I'm back to normal.
You're doing you, huh?
Yes, and I'm ready.
Do you, boo? All right. Miss Cheryl, how are you? What is your your shirt say?
I'm Cheryl.
Doing Cheryl. Okay, take it easy. Okay, we see. Not that kind of show, Cheryl, right?
I know. I'm Cheryl doing Cheryl things.
Oh, okay. Very good. Mm-hmm. How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dr. Nate. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm encouraged. I'm feeling good. I don't feel too hot today. I feel like a nice little breeze going on in my living room. So I'm good.
Yeah. And your lights went off last night. They came back on,
yes,
or they were just
and
off?
I don't like that, Dr. Nate. I need a flashlight, floodlight.
Yeah. Okay. And it's Nat. I was just kidding about Nate. Just
oh, you don't like that name now?
No.
How are you doing, Dr. Nat?
I'm doing very well. I cannot complain.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going well.
Good.
All right.
So it's good to hear.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Cheryl or Andrea, do you have an idea of what we want to start the conversation on tonight?
Go ahead, Cheryl.
We would like to start the conversation on tonight about how to keep relationships fresh. I don't want everyone to just go to intimate or personal relationships, but relationships with your family, relationships with your friends, and relationship with your boss, with your employer. Those type of relationships. How do you keep them fresh?
Any thoughts on that, ladies?
Well, I believe there's a number of things you could do. I think first you have to establish that this is what you want to do with this person. I want to keep this relationship going. I like this relationship. It's growing. I'm happy being with this person. And like Cheryl said, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be your job. And once you establish that this is for you, I think there's so many different things that you can do. You can be active together.
Yeah, but Andre, just one point. I think before we go much further, I think you're making a really good point in the sense that you want to do these things with relationships that have promise.
Yes.
I think sometimes we make a mistake and we put in all this effort in a relationship that has no return on the investment. So I think you don't want to gloss over. You really want to concentrate on, and offer this additional time, because that is the one commodity that can never be replenished. Once it's gone, once you've given it, you ain't getting it back. So I hear your admonition in what your comments that you're sharing so far, which is that make sure it's with people that you should be with, not that you're trying to do all this wonderful stuff with people that there's very little chance.
Right. That's true. It's definitely something to establish at the beginning of the relationship. And even when the relationship is kind of fizzling out, like, what, do I want to salvage this, or do I want to just end it? Sort of like what we talked about before. Do you want to just pull the emergency brake? So I think if you do want to salvage the relationship, it's definitely communicating, making time to spend with this person. I just spoke to a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a while, a female friend, and I said, hey, what are you doing on Monday? Why don't we walk the park? So I just always kind of establish that with my friends so that I'm spending time with each one of them, because all those relationships are important to me.
And are you honest with them, Andrea, and said you're not really going to walk the park? You're going to do about 20 steps and sit down on the bench. Is that really how it
No, well, my goal is to really to get to a restaurant that's in that area to eat. So I usually start with we're gonna take a walk and we're gonna talk about business, but hopefully that'll be over some food, and then I can really enjoy myself with my company.
And I also think you bring up a good point about just taking the time to do an activity. I think a lot of times, especially with those relationships that we don't take time for, but just to carve out and say, you know what, every day for 20 minutes, we're going to just take a walk. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just going to be me and you, and it could be your son, could be your daughter, it could be
Mm-hmm.
your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, but just to carve out a time that is just, for you to take that time to walk and talk, because the pace can, get so crazy. One of the other things I heard as a way to keep a relationship fresh is that you have um, what they called a yes day. And whatever that person wants, you must say yes to.
Oh, we want yes days, Dr. Nathaniel. We want yes days, Andrea and I. With you. Yep, with you. Us getting the yes and you saying that whatever you guys want. We
Yeah,
want that.
yeah.
That sounds so good.
Yes.
I thought that was a terrible idea. I don't know why I repeated it. But seriously, what do you think about that? Where people could just, again, within some reasonable boundaries, but
Right, of course.
just have a
I
time.
agree with that, Dr.
Yeah.
Williams. I do agree with that. A yes day does sound good. Of course, reasonably done, not
Mhm.
too extravagant. We really want to put the time in with each other, not focus on anything materialistic. So that would be good. And I also agree with Andrea about the communication, but I also believe that keeping the relationship fresh will take both people. So we need both people to be in that communicative state,
Mhm.
being able to talk and discuss and, you know, run by ideas of what we can do to keep things fresh.
And I wanted to share that, we have this uh, winning strategy called the whole person, and that may give us some ideas. Is there some stuff that we can do related to health that would keep the relationship fresh?
Hmm.
Spirituality, personal development, is there stuff related to our finances, stuff related to our environment that we can do to keep the relationship fresh? That maybe we're going to paint a wall each month in the house. Is there stuff we can do at education? Is there some information that we could get that would keep the relationship fresh? As Andrea said, is there some recreation we can do? Is there some stuff that we could do with the family and friends that would keep the relationship fresh? 1 month, 1 week we focus on your family, next week you focus on my family, or even at the work site that we have times in which our family and friends are able to come and see what we do as a way of keeping our work relationship fresh, but also our family relationship fresh. But
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, this gives some ideas looking at us as a whole person that there's some things that we could potentially do. So when people say, "Well, we tried everything," we did everything to make the relationship work. Well, this is a pretty long list. Thought, Cheryl, Andrew?
I think
Uh,
all the go ahead, Dre.
no, go ahead, Cheryl. I'm sorry.
I think everything on the whole person are key points, and those, yes, that definitely just tackling those things would definitely keep the relationship fresh, trying to come to conclusions about what both people need
Mm.
as far as that whole person. Is there any health issues going on? Can you encourage someone to make sure they're taking care of themselves properly in the personal development, doing things, new things, building on your career? So all of those are key points for keeping a relationship fresh, I believe. It definitely wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Any
Yeah.
thoughts on?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think about all the friendships that I have with family and friends and all my relationships, even with my colleagues and employees. We talk about different things. We talk about finances. I may say, you know what, let's talk about getting together and how we can save money and how we can do certain things. And I may talk to a friend of mine about spirituality. Tell me a little bit about how do you keep connected spiritual. So it's a number of things that you can do. Just going for a walk is talking about health. We talk about family. So all these things are extremely important in relationships, and it comes down to how you value them. And I
Yeah,
was
and it brings strength too. It brings
yeah,
strength to the relationship. You don't feel like you're on shaky ground. You're building something that's going to be solid.
Sorry. Sorry. I was just checking to
Like,
make sure we're on YouTube.
okay.
And we are.
yay. So
Yeah.
what is your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt?
I agree with all this you said. Is I think there's so much work that we can do to try to keep the relationship fresh. And I also think the other side of it is, why do relationships, professional and personal, go stale? What is it, why does that happen? Is there some reason? And I think, when I think about it, to answer my own question, is when we take people for granted. When we take our boss for granted, our boss takes us for granted, our significant other, our children, take us for granted. And so when the relationship, goes stale, that's a problem. But I think often people get very comfortable and they think like, I don't have a choice. And
Mm.
everybody has choices. And I think that's the worst thing you can say to a person is you're never going to find someone better than I. Well, you may have put them on a crusade to prove you're wrong. And again, a lot of people struggle personally with a lot of trauma about not being chosen. So a lot of times that issue carries on to their relationships, and they want to be chosen, but they often make ourselves unattractive to be chosen, very difficult to be chosen. And we have, some, personality traits that make it very hard for most people to be able to tolerate. So I think we have to think about like, what is it that makes the relationships, challenging, as well as the things we can do to make them better.
I think sometimes that people lose interest. Like I think back on my personal relationships in the past. I didn't think about not being chosen. I have thought about not being able to make it through without that other person. It seems like for me too, I have to encourage myself and build myself up to know
But
that.
but hold on a second, Cheryl. So you're saying that sometimes you stayed because you didn't want to be alone, or
I, I don't think that I was thinking about not being alone. I'm thinking about what my quality of life will be without that other person, especially if the other person is a great part of my quality of life. As far as
so,
um,
but actually, a question. That sounds like almost, we're in a relationship where we're using each other. No? Yes?
but I didn't think about that. It may be just that, but I didn't think about that at the time. And I'm
Mm.
specifically speaking about my marriage, how I stayed in that marriage when I knew that the interest had left and there was nothing really going on besides me being kept, everything being paid for me. So
Mm.
I went too long with that. Looking
Mm.
back, I went too long with that because I had thoughts of, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to make up this? Whereas I can financially take care of myself.
Mm.
So I wasn't worried about being chosen. I was more worried about what's going to happen when I cut this off. Like
Well,
in my back, in
it
my
is
mind, I know I'm like
yeah,
I know.
it is an issue of chosen. You were concerned if I don't choose to continue and he doesn't choose to. So it's about, the choice coming to a termination on one side or the other. And
And then you could, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think the other piece is going back to looking at your own trauma. I think that your trauma prepared for you to have that dilemma. I think your trauma of like, oh, I don't want to ever be poor. I don't ever want to be without. I think lots of times the stuff we struggled with in earlier life made us predisposed to having these kinds of concepts. Because Cheryl, let's be honest, when you cut the strings, you've done okay.
I know. And
Yeah.
I had to really feed that to myself. But not only during that particular time, speaking with you and my sister, I I was like, I'm tripping. I am gonna make it. I am gonna be fine without the help of, any help from someone.
Right.
I'm gonna make it. But I didn't see that at the time. But after, talking to you guys as my support team and moving things back and forth in my mind, I was like, this is really no reason for you to stay in it,
Mm.
because you are going to make it. God will provide. You have other people in your corner that cares about you and wants to see that you continue to, be successful, not do anything sideways. I know what it is, but at that time in it, before I filed for divorce, I was just like, I don't know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But then speaking, that's why it's so important to have somebody to speak
It's
to.
definitely important to have that
It's
circle
so
around you, because this could
important.
be
And
for a job as well. You could be in a
yes,
position and saying, I don't want to leave this job, but I'm being mentally abused and taken advantage of. But you need that support team around you to say, you're going to be fine. Don't
you're
worry.
gonna be
You're going to
fine.
make it. Don't worry. I promise you, you're going to be okay. And sometimes you're just kind of reluctant, but if you really have a good team and you
Yep.
trust what they say, then you know
Right.
you're going to be fine. I mean, even when I
Exactly.
wasn't feeling well, my girlfriend sent me Myadol. And it was
Hmm.
more or less like, just take this and you're going to be fine. And it's like,
Right.
really? Are you
Yeah.
sure? You're
Yeah.
going to be fine. It's like she had to keep reassuring me, like,
Right.
it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So it's really having that confidence in people,
Right.
keeping
Yep.
those relationships supported, keeping them
Right.
around, right? Because they're valuable, right? And that's why
Yes,
you have
they
to
are.
rekindle them and spend time with people, because those are your support teams and you're really going to need them. And that's one of
Yes.
the things that Michelle Obama was talking about, that her friends are extremely important to her. It's not
Hmm.
just her husband, because she says, I don't want to go through life without any of my friends.
Right.
They've carried me through some really tough times, and friendships are
Exactly.
like amazing if you have good
Exactly.
ones. Hmm.
And those that are in good standing are there to show you that
Yeah,
support that you need when you think, "Yo, my whole world is done now.
he's coming to crash
That's it.
down. Yeah.
I separated from my husband,
Hmm.
and I got divorced. That it's a done deal. But I didn't
Yeah.
have to go through that part, because during it, I had people and my own thinking and trusting in people to always give me good advice. And I got through it. And like
Yeah.
Nathaniel
Yeah.
said, I am just fine.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
really, even though I have a great team around me. And sometimes people say,
Right.
"Oh, Andrea, you did this, you're doing so well." And I was like, "It's not me, it's my team." Like, I have amazing people around me that keep me afloat, that keep me making good decisions. And sometimes
Right.
I'll speak to, a person that says, "Oh, I don't really have many friends." And it's like, you need to get some friends. You
Right.
need to get some people that really love you and care about you, that can
But,
see things before
but
you see
Andrea and
them.
Cheryl, I think we need to talk about that because I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that have said, I've tried to develop a team and Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. It didn't go well. These people,
Hmm.
they slept with my husband, they did this, they did
Hmm.
that. So what do you say to a person who says, hey, I like your team concept. It sounds wonderful, but it hasn't
Hmm.
worked very well. So how did you figure out who's on your team and where do you
Trust.
find these people?
Hmm.
My team, I found childhood, some of my
Hmm.
friends from childhood, some people that I know I could trust from my childhood, and I have some people from my childhood that I don't trust. Um,
Okay, let's say you're a person says, you know what, my childhood was pretty bad. We moved 100 times, so we really never had a sense. So I don't have any childhood friends. So what do you tell them to do now? I don't have any childhood friends. I'm 47. I hear your point. What do I do?
I would ask them, what are they involved in? Are they doing anything in their community? Are they a part of the church? I went to church one time and I met this amazing woman. And I already said, I don't want any more friends. I'm good on friendships. I don't want to
Hmm.
meet any more people. And I
I
went
say
to
that
lunch
too.
and I thought this lady was amazing, that I would even bring her around my friends,
Hmm.
because that's how we connected. But you have to get out, you have to meet other people. There's so many different things you could be a part of. you could be doing something for your children and meet the most amazing person while you're there.
I think that's the point, Andrea and Cheryl, is that what we want something new by taking old chances. You
Mm.
want something new, you have to take new chances.
Yeah.
And I think that's, so again, with it, a lot, you're writing it down, Andrea?
I am.
No.
I am. Mike,
I'll
oh.
just repeat it back next week and say I came up with it.
Oh, I know he said this, Drake. So
See, so you writing it down just as proof?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, because I know he said this.
I'm gonna have to rip up that scrapbook.
Yeah, you have to start keeping a diary of wow. But again, I think your point underlines it, Andrea, that you tried something new, you got something new. And so those people
step
that may
out that
say
small circle, step out of it. Sometimes you have to step out of it.
Sure. And Cheryl, you've had some, again, lifelong friends as well, that have seen you through the good times and the bad times. But again, it is a little, it's a chance, it's a risk.
Yeah.
But just pay attention when people tell you who they are, show you who you are. Believe them.
And how about you, Dr. Williams? Like, because you grew up in foster care system, would you say that you have many friends, or did you get some really meet people along the way? Because people may say that too.
Yeah, I mean, I've met people along the way, and again, one of the things I learned later in life about my mother, she died when I was 5 years old, and I really thought she was coming back, and I thought I should hold her seat for her just in case she came back, she could sit down. And anyone that tried to sit in her seat, they were drop kicked in the middle of their chest to the floor. And the funny thing is, I think I still have somewhere a card that your mother, Cheryl and Andrea, gave to me, and she signed it, Mother Lucille. And I gave her a very hard time about that card. But in years later, I realized that whenever one person fell out or moved on from the mother role, I always had somebody else. So I wasn't, what I say to myself, I wasn't forsaken, I was forced stupid to realize the provision's there. It just wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for my mother to come back. And the funny thing is, if my mother walked in the room right now, I couldn't recognize her because I don't remember what she looks like. So again, I'm holding a spot for someone that if they came in the room, I couldn't tell you, oh, that's my mama. I'd have to go get a picture and say, hey, okay, maybe that's her. So again, often we're holding a seat for someone we really don't even recognize. So again, going back to your question, Andrea, I realized that I was always had the provision. There's always, more lately, there have been people that I've known for a couple of decades, and including yourself. So again, it's not a lot of people, but it's just enough. But I've also learned to be more tolerant of people's imperfections. You two being a wonderful example.
Oh my God.
I've learned to just accept anything at this particular point. No, but
exactly. You're getting desperate now.
Exactly. I'm like, will you be my friend? But again, as they have to do with me,
Sure.
Yeah. But then one of the things I don't like about the two of you guys gang up. Before if I got you one at a time, you weren't strong enough to be a match. But we have these committee meetings, and you guys decide to.
We got to get you. We have a pre-committee meeting, then we go after you.
Exactly. And I'm catching on to that because Cheryl lets me know when there's already a direction you guys have chosen to go, and I'm a little slow, but I'm catching on.
We'll call up each other like, we're gonna get him tonight. You see what he said, right?
Right.
Wow.
We go over
a couple of weeks ago, I said something about, I think, your father or something.
Yeah. No, he wasn't in the picture that long.
Exactly. It was like you guys went like, whoop. So normally I could just say something like that and keep it moving. No one.
No more.
The party has changed. But again, I think often, as you said, Andrea, there are people out there. We just have to be willing, and Cheryl, as you said as well, to just give it a chance, take a risk.
And even rekindling is extremely important, like you said. And however you do it, like I did it over a sprinkler with my grandkid, so it could be with just family.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me go spend some time with my mom and try to rebridge that.
But Andrea, that's the part I think that people will struggle with. like you said, rekindling, and I think often people go back to relationships that are, for all intents and purposes, that are really dead. So the question is, how do you have the discernment? And what I've learned is my ideas are wonderful, but I should bounce it off a couple other people to see what their thoughts are. So a lot of the bad decisions, the bad ideas, were ideas only, I had. So I was just talking to someone earlier about a professional idea, and I said, like, just think about it. Let's think about it overnight and just see what we think in the morning. But again, lots of times we have, in our own head, we have these ideas and we don't aerate them with other people. So I think that's the key about, going back, say, hey, someone, hey, this person has reached back to me. We had a little bit of a trying, big past. What do you think? And a lot of times their intuition is better than yours.
Hmm.
But I think being willing to listen.
So I shouldn't have had them over.
No. No, I think that was the best thing. And again, that was, as we talked about last week, you asked me to intervene there, and I'm like, no, that's okay. You're going to be fine, and you've done fine. So
That's
definitely.
right. So free.
I think they may be living with you sooner than later.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, she ain't gonna do that fine. She ain't doing
Not
that.
at all.
She's not gonna do it. Mm-mm. Let's just take what she's giving right now,
right, and work
and
with
be happy.
Wow.
So let's see if we have any callers. Anybody who wants to join the
Yes, we do. We
conversation?
we have two. So I'll ask them, excuse me, if they'd like to join. I won't even show you what this cup says because I just realized what it says.
What it says, King. What does it say on here?
It's Tade's cup.
Oh,
It says black girl. So I don't.
Nice.
I'm gonna just
nice.
I'm just gonna turn it around.
Okay.
I wonder if she's which got those from.
I think she made
Website.
she made them. She has this.
Oh, okay. I'm getting me one.
Yeah, and this Miss Blongo said get lost. She's not joining.
Nisi said get
Who's
lost.
Samsung?
I think it's Nita.
Nisa, do you want to join tonight?
She's always sitting in the.
Where's the guy? Where's the guy?
Yeah, we want him.
I know.
We don't know if he made it.
Yeah.
Oh, is
might
he
be
still
sitting there
on?
like this right now.
He's been working a lot lately, so.
Oh.
Yeah, but we'll have him come on back. Well, being that we don't have any guests to join, let's get ready to wrap up for this evening.
Okay.
Closing thoughts you'd like to share?
Take old chances. Take new chances. Amen.
Amen. Miss Andrea.
Just keep pushing ahead. Just try different ways to rebond with your family and friends. Keep those relationships fresh, even if it's over Olive Garden or Tommy's or Waffle House with flies and windows. Just do what you got to do to keep them relationships going with your kids, with your baby daddy, whoever it may be. Because he may come through when you need him in a pinch. So yeah, very important.
Maybe not. And I agree with all that you both have said. And again, it's just trying to be confident, have some faith that it's going to work out. And I think a lot of times people have accomplished so much, and they often look at the immediate challenge and they forget, all they've overcome. And this too will pass. And again, just by allowing some sunlight and some conversation will make the world a difference. So I think we have to just often remind ourselves that is the case. So without further ado, Andrea, if you can.
As always, like, comment, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have a website. We have emails. We'll be back next Thursday. We have a Cash App, Two Sisters and a Brother. If you like the content, support us, and we will bring you more of what we have from Two Sisters and a Brother.